Hey there, focused learners, welcome back. Today, we're jumping right into a brand new explainer, and we'll be unpacking a web series that is absolutely taking the streaming world by storm right now. It's called Made in India, A Titan Story, and you can stream it on Amazon, MX Player, and Prime Video. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A corporate drama about manufacturing watches doesn't exactly sound like your typical thrilling weekend binge, right? But honestly, this series takes what could have easily been a dry business case study and turns it into this deeply affecting, underdog story of national pride. To give you a sense of the immediate and honestly kind of surprising emotional impact of this show, just listen to this quote from The Hollywood Reporter India. They said, "Not since Rocket Boys have I been so charmed, so moved, so taken by a series based on true events." Critics are literally calling its approach heart first. They're saying it's immensely huggable, deeply sincere. Somehow, they actually managed to find real magic in manufacturing. Section 1. A surprising emotional hit. So the series is directed by Ravi Grewal, and it's actually based on Vinay Kamath's best-selling book, Titan, Inside India's Most Successful Consumer Brand. It's 6 tightly packed episodes, and man, it did not take long to find its audience. We're talking over 4.5 million views in just the first 5 days. Crazy, right? But the cultural impact is way bigger than just streaming numbers. The show resonated so much with this idea of national achievement that the government of India literally unveiled a commemorative postcard and envelope just for the release. Even Amul, the iconic butter brand, they dropped a topical ad celebrating it. And you know you've made it when you get an Amul ad. Section 2. The Swiss Insult. Okay, let's rewind a bit and trace the journey of our main guy, Xerxes Desai. It starts back in the 1970s. He's a Tata executive, he's hungry for a challenge, and he gets tasked with reviving the struggling Tata press. While he's trying to figure out why the press is losing so much money, he stumbles upon this massive black market in Bombay's Chor Bazaar for smuggled, imported watches. Light bulb moment, right? He realizes there is this huge, completely untapped demand for high-quality, affordable watches in India. But the real inciting incident, that happens in Geneva. JRD Tata pitches the idea of an Indian-made watch to this incredibly snooty European watchmaker and gets absolutely shut down, like completely dismissed. And it's actually that exact rejection that makes JRD give Xerxes the official green light to launch Titan. This was a deeply, deeply personal insult. The Swiss watchmaker actually looks at JRD Tata and says, "Indians are only good for labor and not skill." He basically calls the watch JRD showed him a mere prototype, completely throwing Indian craftsmanship under the bus. I mean, imagine the sting of that. It's the corporate equivalent of being told you're just a vendor, never a visionary. But you know what? That sting was the exact spark they needed to build a world-class Indian brand. Furious and incredibly motivated, JRD Tata gives Xerxes a deadline: 5 years. He gives him exactly 5 years to build a domestic watch brand from absolutely nothing and prove that Swiss watchmaker wrong. The clock was quite literally ticking. But as we know, building a legacy is never easy. Xerxes and his team immediately run into this brick wall of bureaucracy. The government's MRTP Act actually blocks massive companies like Tata from getting a manufacturing license, to prevent monopolies. So what do? They pivot, they innovate, they set up a smaller company as a front, they partner up with the Tamil Nadu Industrial Development Corporation, or TIDCO, and they officially launch Titan as a joint venture. It's brilliant problem solving. Section 3, the Dream Team. Now, the whole series is anchored by this absolutely brilliant dynamic between the two leads. On one hand, you have Jim Sarb playing Xerxes Desai, and he is just phenomenal here. He plays Xerxes as this wild, over-the-top, ambitious dreamer. He's this impossibly charming, mad entrepreneur who would way rather just show you something than sit around talking about it. And right next to him is his best friend, Akash Bansal, played by Vaibhav Tatawadi. Akash is the pragmatist. He's the guy stressing over licenses and family duties, but at the end of the day, he is the life force that actually executes Xerxes' wild ideas. Their friendship, the clashes, the making up, it is 100% the beating heart of the story. And we absolutely have to talk about the supporting cast, because wow, you've got the legendary Nasruddin Shah stepping in as JRD Tata, bringing this effortless, grounding energy to the whole thing. The scenes with him and Xerxes feel so much like a father-son relationship, it's beautiful. Then there's Kavri Seth playing Megha Matre, the totally self-assured head of marketing, battling all sorts of societal expectations. And Lakshmi Saran as Gaurav Dhar, the genius IIT grad who figures out the quartz technology. Honestly, critics are pointing out that there isn't a single weak link in this entire ensemble. Section 4, Nostalgia and Retro Charm. The director, Ravi Gruwal, made some really smart choices with the vibe of this show. He didn't just build some sets and call it a day. He created this incredibly authentic 1980s and 90s Bombay atmosphere by blending in actual, real vintage footage of Chor Bazaar and the old city streets. It really grounds the whole narrative. But the boldest move? The soundtrack. They completely ditched the standard serious corporate background score and went with retro Hindi film anthems. We're talking tracks like Ye Chand Sa Roshan Chehra and even a tribute to Guru Dutt's film Pyasa. On paper, putting that in a business drama sounds like a huge risk, but everyone agrees it totally works. It just injects this irresistible, nostalgic charm into the viewing experience.
Section 5. What the audience thought.
So we've talked a lot about what works, but is it a perfect series? Well, to make this explainer as well-rounded as possible, we went digging into audience reactions, specifically jumping into the trenches of Reddit to see what really resonated with people and, what kind of fell flat.
Let's look at the breakdown. Under the pros, people are absolutely loving the phenomenal acting and that nostalgic charm we just talked about. Plus, they're pointing out that it's clean, family-friendly viewing. That's pretty rare these days, being able to sit down and watch something genuinely good with your kids. And, of course, the story of national pride is incredibly inspiring. Now, on the flip side, the cons. Some folks felt it was a little too sanitized. A few called it a brand film in the guise of a series, saying it sort of PR-ified the Tata legacy without showing any of the real skeletons in the closet. Some also mentioned pacing issues and complained about too many ads on the streaming platform itself. Oh, and my absolute favorite critique from Reddit? One user genuinely complained that the show didn't have any hand-to-hand combat or chase sequences. Hey, I guess the intense world of watchmaking just isn't explosive enough for everybody.
But getting back to the story, the true climax of the series, and of Titan's actual real-life journey, is their ultimate triumph, the Titan Edge. After initially struggling to break into the European market, Xerxes just pushes his team to the absolute limit to create something revolutionary. And they do. They produce the Titan Edge. It was the slimmest commercially made watch movement in the world. We're talking thinner than a 5-rupee coin. This innovation was so undeniable that it literally forced the European market to finally respect Indian horology. It leads to this deeply satisfying full-circle moment where Tata actually ends up acquiring the company of the Swiss watchmaker who insulted them all those years ago. Talk about karma, right? There was this article in India Today that I think perfectly nailed the emotional core of the show. It said, Titan wasn't competing with Omega or Rado. It was competing with the idea that Indians could not build something aspirational. The writer talked about how watching this series made them look down at their own expensive, imported Swiss watch and then go rummage through a drawer to find their dusty, old, forgotten Titan watch and just feel this immense sense of pride. Titan was the brand that proved made in India never had to be an apology. And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. But before we go, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over. Take a look at the brands you value the absolute most today. Do we still measure value and luxury entirely by geography? Or can something made in India be your ultimate aspiration? Think about that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, Focus Learners. Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.